Hello friends, welcome back to Big Nate's Whiskey Lounge. My name is Nate. Today we're going to do a Scotch video. But 8 months ago, WhiskeyTube had a surge of videos based on a Reddit post about only needing 5 bourbons in your bar at any given time. I too will be doing a bourbon list shortly, but I wanted to give Scotch some love. Now, saying you only need 5 whiskeys is a little misleading. What we're talking about is having at least one whiskey for 5 specific categories. Those categories are your daily sipper, a good mixer, a Friday night pour, impressing your friends, and for special occasions. Today I'm going to do the only 5 Islay Scotches your bar needs. For those new to whiskey or Scotch, Scotland is divided into 5 official and 1 unofficial Scotch region, each with its own flavor profile. I'll do a different video sometime discussing these regions in more detail, but Islay is famous for being smoky and briny. When people react poorly to hearing the word Scotch, they're typically thinking about Islay, even if they've never heard the name before. The region is a small island off the southwest coast of Scotland and has 8 distilleries on it. The smokiness comes from peat, which is burned and the smoke is infused into the malted barley, and that smokiness lasts from malting through distillation and aging to give the whiskey a very unique flavor. Even with as small as Islay is, each distillery has their own flavor profile with a lot of bottlings to enjoy and explore. For this list, I'll be giving my choice and also a few runner-ups. Quick note before I jump into the list, all these whiskeys are single malts. I'll do a later video on Scotch terms, but just know that single malt actually means 2 separate things. Now that I have created more questions and answers, let's get into it. First on our list is Daily Drinker. For me, this is the first Islay I ever tried, and this whiskey made me fall in love with Scotch and whiskey as a whole. And that bottle would be Laphroaig 10. This 10-year-old aged whiskey comes in at 43% ABV here in the US. In Scotland, it comes in at 40%, and that's due to the tax laws in both countries. It's a classic Islay, which is heavily peated and light-bodied with big smoky peat notes. On the nose, I tend to get green apple. Green olive. My first nose, when I first poured it, ever trying it, that was the first thing that hit me was green olive. And I also get that specific note off of Laphroaig more versus any other distillery. It's a great pour that keeps me coming back again and again. Ad campaigns for Laphroaig describe the whiskey as either a mermaid's bathwater or like kissing a cigar-smoking walrus. Yeah, I'll just call it fantastic. For a runner-up, I have arguably Laphroaig's biggest competitor, and that is Ardbeg 10. This comes in at 46% ABV, so it's a little higher in proof, but the smoke is a little more subtle to me, and it's not as much of a punch in the mouth. I will admit that while I prefer Laphroaig 10 to Ardbeg 10 as a daily drinker, overall I am an Ardbeg over Laphroaig guy. If you'd like a non-peated option for a daily Islay, I'd recommend Brooklotti's Classic Lottie. It's 50% ABV, non-peated whiskey, which offers a lot of the same brininess without the smoke. This is a great option to explore the sea saltiness of Islay. Next and second on our list is a good mixer. I'll be honest with you, I don't really make cocktails with Scotch, partly because of the cost for good Scotch and the fact that in the US it's more likely that you're going to find bourbon or rye cocktails. But with that said, for this category, I picked Ardbeg Wee Beastie. This is a newer product to the market, and it comes with only a 5-year age statement and is 47.4 ABV. It does have youngness to the flavor, which other ingredients might help mask. There's a chocolatiness to it, along with that Ardbeg meatiness and black pepper. My runner-ups are both unpeated. The Brooklotti Classic Lottie, which I mentioned, as well as Bunnahabhain 12. The Classic Lottie we already talked about, but the Bunnahabhain 12 is 46.3% ABV. It has vanilla, caramel, and I don't know why I said caramel. I say caramel typically. I don't know why I did caramel. And dried fruity flavors that make it stand out against other Islays. Another one I would add if you want, maybe another peated option would be Laphroaig Select, which comes in at 40%. The third category is your Friday night pour. Now this is my current favorite Islay Scotch, and while I'm constantly looking to taste and experience more, this one keeps me coming back, and I'm actually going to pour it now. This is going to be Ardbeg Ugdal. Ardbeg has both a core range and a lot of special releases. Oogie, as we like to call it, is within the core range. It's 54.2% ABV, and it is smoky and meaty. It has notes of bacon and bonfire, and it makes it this is a treat, real treat. You'll be sure to forget the work week and your crappy boss upon just nosing it. Oh, who's my boss? Who do I work for? I don't know. As a runner-up, I would put Lagavulin 16, which I'll discuss more in a minute. The fourth whiskey on our list is to impress your friends. I had a hard time picking one for this category. I'm going to drink some Oogie real quick. That's really good. Back to the fourth category, impress your friends. I ended up putting 3 options in this category because I couldn't pick one specifically because I came at it from 3 different angles. 4A is going to be Port Charlotte 10-year. This is heavily peated, and it comes in at 50% ABV. This comes from the Brooklotti distillery. I have three Brooklottis on this list. Yep. And while this does have the typical peatiness and the smoke and smokiness of most Islay, it also is light on the taste, and it has some sweet, fruity, and floral characteristic that make this very balanced and not a burly monster like Islay is known to be. I would argue that this is one of the best value Islays, and maybe even Scotch as a whole. Value meaning what it is, how it tastes, versus what it costs. This Scotch will impress your Islay drinking friends that know Scotch, that know Islay, and really like it. This would impress them. 4B is going to be Lagavulin 16. While you may know that this is from Parks and Recreation, that this was Ron Swanson's beverage of choice, you may not have known that it's actually a real whiskey. Originally, Parks and Rec wrote that Ron Swanson was going to be a bourbon drinker, and in the pilot he does drink bourbon. But Nick Offerman, who plays Ron Swanson, disclosed to the creators that he really liked Scotch, specifically Islay, even more specifically Lagavulin 16, and so they wrote it into his character. This comes in at 43% ABV. It's a little bit more of a dry peatiness, and it's also a little bit more gentle. If we were going to do like what are the big 3, if you're going to introduce somebody to Islay, I'd probably go Laphroaig 10, Ardbeg 10, and Lagavulin 16. Of those 3, this one's going to be probably the friendliest and most approachable. That said, it's still a peaty, smoky Islay. That also being said, whatever Ron Swanson or Nick Offerman tell me to drink, I'm going to do so. This is going to impress most people simply because of the fame of it, not necessarily people who are whiskey drinkers. And 4C is another crowd pleaser. After doing the show, Nick Offerman teamed up with Lagavulin, and together they produced a line of whiskey in his name. It's 11 years old, and he does different versions, different batches. This one is finished in Guinness casks, and as you can see, it's under the label, so I got to replace it soon. And says it's finished in Guinness casks. I will do a video explaining finishing some other time, but basically you distill and age a whiskey, and then you move it into a separate barrel, a separate cask for a little bit more time to give it more flavor. This is actually very common in Scotch. However, in bourbon it does happen, but it's more scrutinized. This whiskey is 46% ABV. It's got chocolatey, vanilla, and a little pepper, and it make this peaty goodness stand out, and it will be sure to impress. Some of your Parks and Rec fans may know that Lagavulin 16 exists, but they probably don't know that Nick Offerman has his own line of Lagavulin. And last but not least, in category 5, is going to be your special occasion whiskey. Let's take another sip of the Oogie real quick. Man, that's so good. I've chosen a whiskey that I have not tried or opened yet, and I'm not sure if it's on screen yet, hoping not. That's what makes this bottle a special occasion whiskey for me. So this video is being shot on November 6th. I turned 30 in 10 days, and this whiskey is going to be my birthday pour. This whiskey is the most heavily peated whiskey on the market. The distillery keeps coming out with higher and higher peat offerings. They just keep upping the level of peat. So this whiskey is Octamor from Brooklotti. I have the 9.3. I know you can't see that because this is a clear bottle. Some of the other bottles are black bottles, but this particular one is clear. This is 5 years old, and it is 62.9% ABV. So mine, again, I said is 9.3. I think they're in the 12s now. I cannot wait to open this. I've heard really good things, and I just can't wait. All right, so that's my list of the 5 Islays you need. Let me know in the comments below what you would put as your 5. I will do more lists like this and continue to give Scotch the love it deserves. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe and be on the lookout for more content coming soon. I'll see you later.